Do you ever feel like you take things too personally? Like a small comment or a tiny criticism can ruin your whole day. Being sensitive isn't a bad thing, but when it starts affecting your happiness and confidence, it's time to take control. In this video, I'll share 5 practical ways to toughen up emotionally so you can stop overthinking, handle criticism better, and feel more in control of your emotions. Let's get started. 1. Reframe your thoughts. Have you ever caught yourself spiraling into negative thoughts because of something someone said or did? Maybe a friend didn't text back, and you immediately assume they're upset with you. Or perhaps a coworker gave you constructive feedback, and you felt like they were attacking you personally. This happens because of cognitive distortions, ways our brain twists situations to make them seem worse than they really are. The good news? You can train your mind to reframe these thoughts in a healthier, more balanced way. How to reframe negative thoughts. Pause before reacting. The moment you feel hurt or offended, take a deep breath. Don't respond immediately. Give yourself a few seconds to evaluate the situation logically instead of emotionally. Ask yourself, what's another possible explanation? Instead of assuming the worst, think of at least 2 alternative explanations. Example: your friend cancels plans last minute. Instead of thinking, they don't value me, consider, maybe they're exhausted or dealing with something personal. Challenge your inner critic. If your mind jumps to self-doubt, ask yourself, is this thought based on facts or just my assumptions? Would I say this to a friend? We're often much harsher on ourselves than on others. Replace negative statements with neutral or positive ones. Instead of, I always mess up, say, I made a mistake, but I can learn from it. Practice gratitude and perspective shifting. Sometimes, focusing on what's going right instead of what's wrong can help shift your mindset. Before reacting, ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? If the answer is no, let it go. The power of reframing. Reframing doesn't mean ignoring emotions. It means giving yourself the chance to respond with clarity instead of emotional overload. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to stop overreacting and start seeing things in a more balanced way. Try this. Next time you feel sensitive about something, write down your initial reaction. Then, rewrite it from a different perspective. You'll be surprised at how much power you have over your own thoughts. 2. Build emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to handle challenges, criticism, and setbacks without letting them break you. Think of it like strengthening a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. If you tend to take things personally or feel overwhelmed by emotions, building resilience will help you navigate life with more confidence and control. How to strengthen emotional resilience. Expose yourself to discomfort gradually. Avoiding uncomfortable situations may feel good in the moment, but it reinforces sensitivity over time. Instead, expose yourself to small doses of discomfort to build tolerance. Example: if receiving feedback makes you anxious, start by asking for feedback on minor tasks and remind yourself that constructive criticism is not personal. Develop a growth mindset. People who are emotionally resilient view challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to their self-worth. Instead of thinking, I failed, so I must not be good enough, shift your mindset to, this is a chance to improve. Reflect on past situations where you handled difficulties successfully. This reminds you that you are capable of overcoming challenges. Control your emotional triggers. Pay attention to the specific situations that make you feel overly sensitive. Is it rejection? Criticism? Feeling left out? Once you identify these triggers, work on responding differently. Instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to acknowledge your emotions, then choose a rational response. Practice emotional detachment. Not everything deserves an emotional reaction. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a year? Many emotionally resilient people develop the ability to step back and observe a situation without getting too caught up in it. Build a strong support system. Surround yourself with people who encourage and support you rather than those who fuel your insecurities. Talking to someone who provides a balanced perspective can help you process emotions more effectively. The power of resilience. When you build emotional resilience, you stop letting small things ruin your day. You become more confident, handle criticism with ease, and develop a stronger sense of self. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by emotions, you take control of them. Try this. The next time you feel sensitive about something, remind yourself that resilience is built over time and every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. 3. Set healthy boundaries. One of the main reasons people feel overly sensitive is that they allow others' words and actions to affect them too much. When you don't have clear boundaries, you absorb negativity, overthink situations, and let external factors dictate your emotions. Setting healthy boundaries is about protecting your mental and emotional well-being without feeling guilty. How to set stronger boundaries. Recognize what bothers you. Pay attention to situations that make you feel drained, hurt, or anxious. Ask yourself, am I letting people cross my emotional boundaries because I want to be liked? Example, if a friend constantly makes jokes at your expense, but you laugh it off even though it bothers you, that's a sign your boundaries need reinforcing. Learn to say no without guilt. Sensitivity often comes from feeling obligated to please others. But saying yes to everything leads to resentment and emotional exhaustion. You don't have to be rude, just be firm. Instead of over-explaining, use simple responses like, I appreciate your offer, but I can't commit to that. I understand your perspective, but I need to do what's best for me. Stop absorbing others' emotions. Just because someone is upset doesn't mean you have to take on their feelings. If someone criticizes you, ask yourself, is this feedback constructive, or is it just their opinion? Do I need to take this personally, or can I let it go? Example, a coworker is in a bad mood and speaks rudely. Instead of thinking, did I do something wrong? Remind yourself, their mood is not my responsibility. Limit time with toxic or negative people. If someone constantly drains your energy or makes you feel bad about yourself, consider whether they should have a place in your life. You don't always have to cut them off completely, but you can limit how much influence they have over you. Reinforce your boundaries with actions. Boundaries mean little if you don't stick to them. If someone repeatedly disrespects your limits, enforce consequences. Example, if a friend constantly interrupts you when you're working, remind them, I need this time to focus. Let's catch up later. If they continue, stop responding during work hours. The power of boundaries. When you set strong boundaries, you stop feeling responsible for other people's opinions and emotions. You learn to protect your energy and focus on what truly matters. Sensitivity often fades when you realize that you control what affects you, not the other way around. Try this. The next time someone says or does something that bothers you, pause and ask yourself, do I need to take this personally, or is it just a reflection of their own issues? That small shift can make a huge difference. 4. Strengthen your self-worth. Many people struggle with sensitivity because they seek validation from others. When your sense of self-worth depends on external approval, every criticism, rejection, or negative comment feels like a personal attack. But when you build strong self-worth, you become less affected by what others think and more confident in who you are. How to strengthen your self-worth. Stop seeking constant approval. Ask yourself, am I overly concerned with how others perceive me? If you constantly worry about making everyone happy, remind yourself, not everyone has to like you, and that's okay. Instead of relying on external validation, focus on what you think of yourself. Focus on your strengths, not just your flaws. Sensitive people often magnify their weaknesses and ignore their strengths. Shift your perspective by making a list of things you're good at. Example, instead of dwelling on one negative comment, remind yourself of the many positive things people have said about you. Detach from criticism and praise. When someone criticizes you, don't let it crush you. When someone praises you, don't let it define you. True confidence comes from knowing your worth, whether people acknowledge it or not. Next time you receive criticism, ask, is this constructive? If yes, learn from it. If no, let it go. Develop self-compassion. Treat yourself the way you would treat a close friend. Instead of harsh self-talk like, I'm so weak for being sensitive, say, it's okay to feel emotions, but I won't let them control me. Take control of your narrative. Instead of letting others define who you are, decide for yourself. Example, if someone calls you too sensitive, reframe it as, I have strong emotions, and that's a part of what makes me empathetic and self-aware. But I won't let them overpower me. The power of self-worth. When you truly know your value, negative comments lose their sting. You stop overanalyzing every interaction and start living life on your terms. Sensitivity fades when you realize that your worth isn't determined by others. It comes from within. Try this. Every morning, remind yourself of one thing you love about yourself. With time, this habit will rewire your brain to see your value more clearly. 5. Control your reactions. No matter what happens around you, you always have control over how you respond. Sensitivity often comes from reacting impulsively, taking things personally, getting defensive, or letting emotions take over. But when you learn to manage your reactions, you regain control over your emotions and how situations affect you. How to gain control over your reactions. Pause before reacting. When something upsets you, don't respond immediately. Take a deep breath, count to 5, or step away for a moment. This small pause helps you respond logically instead of emotionally. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Not everything deserves a reaction. Before responding to criticism, negativity, or drama, ask, will this matter in a week? In a month? In a year? Most of the time, you'll realize it's not worth your emotional energy. Reframe negative situations. Instead of assuming the worst, try a different perspective. Example, if a friend doesn't reply to your message, don't think, they're ignoring me. Instead, consider, maybe they're busy. The way you interpret situations determines how much they affect you. Redirect your focus. If you find yourself dwelling on something hurtful, shift your attention to something positive or productive. Engage in an activity that makes you feel good, exercise, a hobby, or spending time with positive people. Practice emotional detachment. Remind yourself, other people's words and actions are a reflection of them, not you. By learning to observe situations without immediately absorbing them, you can stay calm and unaffected. The power of controlling your reactions. When you master your reactions, you become emotionally stronger. You stop overanalyzing situations, letting small things ruin your day, or giving people power over your emotions. Instead, you move through life with confidence, knowing that you control how you feel, not anyone else. Try this. The next time something upsets you, pause and ask, how do I want to respond to this? Just that moment of awareness can make all the difference. Final thoughts. How to stop being so sensitive. Overcoming sensitivity isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about managing them in a way that makes you stronger. Here's a quick recap of the 5 key steps. Recognize that not everything is personal. Shift your perspective and stop assuming the worst. Build emotional resilience. Strengthen your ability to handle criticism and setbacks. Set healthy boundaries. Protect your emotional space and stop absorbing others' negativity. Strengthen your self-worth. Stop seeking validation and know your value. Control your reactions. Learn to pause, reframe situations, and respond calmly. By applying these steps consistently, you'll start feeling more in control, less reactive, and emotionally stronger. Sensitivity isn't a weakness, but letting it control your life is. The good news? You have the power to change it. Seer.